I'm gonna be honest. There are some nights where I just don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like slaving over the stove for forever or doing a ton of chopping and prep and cooking time. And I know you feel that way too. But we've still got those protein and health goals. So this is the kind of recipe that I will make on those nights where I just don't really feel like spending a lot of time in the kitchen. It's super easy to make. You can make it with about 5 to 6 ingredients. It's made with a pre-prep sauce, so it's a lot less time in the kitchen. It's high in protein, high in volume, so you can eat a huge portion and still hit those protein targets. It's right around 400 calories, making it really easy to fit into your macros for the day. I'm Amy, and welcome to the To Explore Wellness channel. I'm a nutrition coach, and meals like this have helped me lose and keep off 40 pounds. On this channel, my aim is to bring you easy, high protein, high volume, delicious meals, weight loss tips, and just ways to live a balanced and healthy lifestyle. Because losing weight and trying to be healthier is not that easy of a journey for most people. So I'm here to make it easier for you. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and now let's go ahead and make this recipe. One of the things I love about this recipe is using a pre-prepped protein. I love getting chicken sausages and having them in my fridge and freezer because these are so easy to cook. You can even cook them in the microwave. I like to do them on the stovetop, but they're really easy to just heat up and serve for dinner. And sometimes I'll just serve them with a side of veggies, or I'll put it in a pasta, or I'll make it into, a full-blown meal like this. The ones that we're using for this recipe are going to be a spinach and feta. You can totally swap for a different flavor, but since we are gonna be using feta cheese with this recipe, I think this flavor just pairs really, really well. I got these from Aldi, but Amy Lou and Gilbert's are another couple of other favorite brands that I really like. There's definitely a few out there. Just make sure you look at the nutrition label. Some are quite a bit higher in fat and calories than others, so just something to be aware of. And that's why I was also like, chicken is typically, leaner than your beef or pork sausages. These are 140 calories a piece and 13 grams of protein each. We are going to be using, I'm making 4 portions, so I am using 2 packages of sausages. Then our veggies, we're gonna use some onion and then some cabbage. Now, I'm gonna be cutting up this cabbage, but if you wanna make it really easy, you can just get a bag of coleslaw mix and pour a couple of these in. Now, I would say this is probably good for 2 portions, so if you are doing 4, you would want to do double this. Some other veggies that would work really great, I am probably gonna add the last bit of kale from my garden, and then zucchinis pair really well with this. I've added carrot before. Broccoli would even be really good. Cauliflower would be delicious. So there's a lot of different veggies that you could swap if, cabbage isn't your thing, or if you just want to add more variety. This is also a really good meal when you kind of like only have a few things left in your fridge. You can just kind of throw them in. For flavoring, we are going to be using this sugar-free lemon herb sauce. And I really like G. Hughes because he has a bunch of sugar-free sauces. I use his barbecue sauce as well. This is only 10 calories per tablespoon, and it has really great ingredients. So I will leave a link for this one in the comments because I think you can get it on Amazon. But I really like the lemon flavor with these. Lemon pairs really well with feta. And then feta. And you can use more or less feta depending on, your calorie and protein goals. If you have a higher protein target, you might want to add more. I'm going to use about 1 ounce per serving, and that will get us about 34 grams of protein per serving at around, I think it's like 412 calories, give or take. You can also use a fat-free feta to lower the calories as well if that better hits your targets and needs. I'm ready to get started on this, so let's go. We're gonna start with chopping our onion. We are going to use the whole onion for this. Feel free to use less or more to adjust to your own liking. And this is one of my favorite cutting boards because not only is it beautiful and safe wood, obviously, but I can use one of these containers for my scraps. And then the other container, I can put the chopped vegetables in so that it's really easy for me to bring over to the stove. This is honestly one of my favorite kitchen tools that I've gotten. And you can chop this. I'm gonna chop them in like kind of halves or quarters so that it has that kind of like long, ooh, this onion is making me cry. Kind of long strands to be similar to the cabbage, but you can chop them smaller if you want as well. Oh my God, this onion is making me cry so bad. Ah! Anyone have any real tips to prevent onions from making you cry? Because clearly it's an issue with this one right now. I kind of survived. I'm still crying, but I'm just gonna put these onions here in my little container and then cut up the cabbage. Time for the cabbage. So I like to peel the layers off and then chop it. You can put it in a shredder. You can, I see some people like grate them. There's a bunch of different ways for you to shred your lettuce. And I also forgot to mention some of the other veggies I think would be good with this. I think, or I've put tomatoes in it before. Peppers would also be really good. Honestly, like practically anything, spinach, obviously, because the, you know, feta and spinach are like match made in heaven. Lots and lots of different ways that you can make this with simple vegetables. Let me know in the comments what vegetables you plan to use for this, or if you're just gonna use whatever you have on hand when you have it on hand. That again is one of the things I like about recipes like this, is that while I typically have these ingredients, it's pretty easy to add something else that I probably have in my fridge or freezer. Since it's cooked, you can also use frozen vegetables. And then I usually just chop, you know, shreds. And again, this is more time consuming. If you're looking for the quicker version, you can totally use pre-shredded or use a machine. I, for some reason, just really like doing it by hand. Got about maybe a third of the head of cabbage chopped up here. Like I said, I'm also gonna add a little bit of kale. So we're actually gonna steam all of this to save on calories. If you have the calories, you can absolutely, you know, saute this in oil. But I find steaming works just as well. And, you know, this has enough fat in it as it is. So I don't personally need to add any more. But let's go ahead and go over to the oven so we can start cooking this. Totally meant to say stove, but you know. Anyway, so we're gonna add a little bit of water in. And our chopped onion. And I have about 9 cups of cabbage here. Make that 10 because I didn't like the odd number. And we're going to cover that up and let it steam. While our veggies are cooking for 15-20 minutes, I would mix a couple of times throughout. We can prep our sausages. I'm just cutting them in coins. You don't even have to do this. You can just put the sausages on top and then cut as you eat. I just like mixing them all together. So obviously you do you. And if you're enjoying this recipe so far or want more high protein, lower calorie recipes, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button because I have a lot more coming that I'm really excited about. And I hope you'll stick around to watch them. And feel free to let me know in the comments maybe what your favorite high protein meal is, or I'd love to hear if you've tried any of my other recipes so far. I have a lot that are similar to this that are, you know, like 5-ish ingredients, take less than a half an hour, and are high protein, lower calorie. Oh my God, this is so hard to open. Sorry about that. That took way too long to open. Anyway, my recipe ebook, my most popular one, is 30-3300. It's 30 different meals that have at least 30 grams of protein, around 300 calories, and about 30 minutes to make. So if you are struggling with figuring out what to eat, if you've got weight loss or protein goals, then that might be a resource that is right up your alley. And of course, I will leave the link to that in the description so that you can check it out. I also have a dessert ebook, I have lunch ebook, I have one that's specifically chicken recipes, cottage cheese recipes for all you cottage cheese lovers out there. Honestly, this would actually be pretty good with cottage cheese added into. If you wanted a protein boost, just mixing some cottage cheese in this, I think it would pair really well with the flavors. Just an idea, just a thought. Or making like a cottage cheese sauce, like blending the cottage cheese into the lemon sauce. Anyway, I'm gonna finish chopping these and then we're going to finish up the recipe. I clipped some fresh kale from my garden, so I'm gonna add that in now. Yes, I eat the stems. I'm actually gonna add the sausage in first. And we're just gonna get this all mixed up. Make sure that if you are not using cooked sausages, that you cook them properly, because this method is really just heating them up. I also decided to add in some tomatoes just for some color and texture. Again, whatever veggies you add, totally up to you. And the kale. And now for the feta, I'm using about 4 ounces, though I am reserving some for the topping. I'm just kind of breaking it up as I put it in. I used 1/4 cup. I'm gonna mix this up and see if we need more. Obviously, use as much or as little as you want. And once everything is heated through and thoroughly mixed, it is ready to serve. All right, now time to give this one a taste test. Now, I already know I love it, but I love that this doesn't take a lot of work, but it has so much flavor, like that sauce. You don't even need to add like salt to this. Saltiness from the feta cheese, along with that perfectly marinated sauce. And that amount of sauce was the right amount, I think, to coat everything. So I highly recommend making this meal. It is such an easy weeknight dinner. It's great for meal prep or just, family dinner on a busy weeknight, because it can come together in less than 30 minutes. Packed with protein, packed with fiber, packed with nutrients. It's an absolutely delicious meal for you to make on the regular. So I thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet liked this video or subscribed to my channel, I hope you do so to help support the content I create so that I can help bringing you more healthy, high protein, delicious recipes and health and weight loss tips. So thank you so much for being here, and see you next time.